And the dulcet tones of the What's Your Favorite Movie Orchestra mean it's once again time for What's Your Favorite Movie? America's favorite movie podcast that no one listens to, that asks the question, that doesn't answer the question. It sometimes does answer the question, but it often asks the question, what's your favorite movie? Or to be more formal, what is your favorite movie? My name is Ed South, and thank you so much for joining us on this podcast where we talk about movies. And joining us today in the world-famous What's Your Favorite Movie Studios is our good friend Diana. Diana, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Ed. Thank you.
Diana, what's the last fantastic movie that you've seen?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Right off the bat. I'm a hard-hitter interview. What do you think about that? And we'll circle back to it if we need be. Guys, join in the conversation at WYF Movie Podcast on Twitter, or favemoviepodcast@yahoo.com is our email address if you would like to weigh in on the topics presented to you today. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook at whatsyourfavoritemovie.com. And for the love of goodness, please share the show with your friends. We'd really appreciate it. All right, Diana, did you think of a movie? No? That's fine. Just make a movie up.
You can't surprise me like that.
Well, here's a question that I'm posing to the audience at large, to you maybe if you know the answer. I don't think you do. Maybe you do. But to the audience at large, and here's the question. So, when I was doing research for this episode, and then you go down like a little rabbit hole where you see something and you click it, and the next thing you know, you're like 8 clicks away.
Yep.
So, one director of a movie that we're going to talk about directed something else, and it got me thinking, and I'm just going to put this question out because I spent like an hour trying to figure it out last night.
Okay.
What was the movie where Melanie Griffith yells about apple strudel? Do you remember that movie?
I don't think so.
I thought you would have laughed at that question.
I'm sorry. It's a weird question.
So here's the question, folks. What was the movie where Melanie Griffith yells about apple strudel? I need to know, and I would have done my impression. Okay, so she's in a movie. I don't think the movie's about apple strudel, but...
And this is a movie you saw, like, in the theater?
No, I did not see it in the theater, but I used to, surprise for everybody at home, I used to work in a video store or two. But I think when I was working at Blockbuster, where you had to run the Blockbuster-approved tape over and over again of the commercials,
yes,
there was a commercial for a movie with Melanie Griffith, and she does this whole, like, little monologue, and all I remember is, if I heard it, the whole thing would come back to me, but something like, and then she made apple strudels. And I want to find it, because I was going to do the whole monologue, but I could not find it anywhere, and I think it's a movie called Shining Through, and the timeline works out, like that came out when I worked at Blockbuster, so it could be another movie called A Stranger Among Us. Do you remember that one?
I remember both of those.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them, but...
But she wouldn't be in A Stranger Among Us, she goes undercover as an Hasidic Jew, correct?
I think so.
And she wouldn't be asking Jews about apple strudel.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. This doesn't sound familiar to me. But
I want my apple strudel! So when I was watching the trailer for these films and watching multiple trailers to try to find the apple strudel timeline or a bit.
Strudel timeline, yes.
Let me ask you a related question. Melanie Griffith, was she a good actress?
I never cared for her much.
Like, not her choice of roles. Like, she's always like, the reason that apple strudel thing stuck in my head is because she's very choppy and very, I didn't want my apple strudel. Right. I'm a working girl. Like, what? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess at one point she was pretty.
This is true.
She's not aged so well.
I did not know her mother was Tippi Hedren. Did you know that?
You didn't know? Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was sort of part of what, propelled her to, stardom, is that she had a very famous mother, and she kind of, grew up in the, in
the spotlight.
Yeah.
Tippi Hedren, or Hedren?
Hedren.
Star of The Birds.
Correct.
Do we have any other credits of hers that you know of?
Not off the top of my head.
The Big Birds and the...
The Big Birds.
Birds 2, Land's End. I think she is actually in The Birds 2, Land's End. I believe that's the title of it.
That's so unfortunate.
Co-starring Chelsea Field, who was in Flipper. There you go. And then when I was looking through Melanie Griffith... I don't know why I've decided to dedicate a whole segment of the show to Melanie Griffith, but when I was looking through her IMDb trying to find my apple strudel movie... She did this movie called Paradise with Don Johnson. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
I love that movie. I'm really gonna find that and watch that again. That was a good movie. I think I mostly liked it because I think Elijah Wood walked in on his older sister like doing it with some older guy but I don't know. Should I have said that? But and I don't. That's not the Apple Strudel movie, I'm sure, because I've seen Paradise.
Sure not.
So folks out there, go to Twitter, Facebook. Let me know, what was the movie where Melanie Griffith yells about Apple Strudel? I think it's Shining Through, but I'm not sure. Then I want to find it, and I'll do my world famous impression of her doing Shining Through. Oh, in the trailer for Shining Through, the announcer says they used to make Sorry. Oh yeah, he says they used to make movies this memorable. I defy you to go out and find anyone who knows what Shining Through is 20 years later. But yes, that's that. So.
Yes.
That was the new segment, Melanie Griffith, Apple Strudel. Hope you enjoyed it. Now on to another segment that we haven't done in a few episodes, but everyone's excited to bring it back. Let's enjoy a beverage. Yay.
Yay.
Which I forgot to get a What's Your Favorite Beverage theme song prepared, but that's okay. We will do it. So, we're recording this early in the morning. Actually, it's not as early as we were originally going to record it, so that's okay, because I purchased an alcoholic beverage to sample for this program. Is that okay with you?
That is fine with me.
It's like 11 in the morning. And I thought about going to get then I was thinking about getting a soda, and they have like those cranberry sauce sodas or like turkey dinner sodas. And like, that's not what this segment is about. That's YouTube amateur hour right there. I don't know what this segment is about, but it's not about sampling turkey flavored sodas. So what it is about today is we're going to sample. Let's get out the lovely plastic cups. Do you like milk stouts? You like a darker beer, don't you?
Not necessarily.
I wanted to try some Neapolitan milk stout.
All right.
From the, how would you pronounce that? Saugatuck?
God, sure. We'll go with that.
Saugatuck Brewing Company out of Michigan. And this is a beer that has a picture of a Neapolitan ice cream kind of thing on the front. And their website says it's a creamy milk stout with all the brilliant flavors of Neapolitan ice cream. Taste the rich flavors of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And they're not even a sponsor of the show. I just like doing this sound effect on the air of the bottle opening. So let's do that. Oh, yes. Nice. And we will pour a little bit. Now, I tend to enjoy lighter beers, like wussy beers, like Miller Lite and things like that. But I've started to... Are we getting it? I started to enjoy the darker beers a little bit, so I thought I would try this. There's a bar in town. Oh, it's not making any sound. Thanks, beer. Thanks, milk stout. I started to enjoy a beer in town that is a chocolate coconut stout. So I thought, why not? Go ahead and...
chocolate stouts are weird. Some of them are good, and some of them are so revolting.
This is true. But this one has hints of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. So how's the bouquet? If you enjoy a beer with your movie, this segment has nothing to do with movies whatsoever, but everyone says they like the sound of the bottle cap. So watch for my new podcast, Bottle Cap Sounds, coming to iTunes in the near future. I don't taste any of those three flavors. I taste coffee. Or is that just the stoutness?
Yeah.
I'm a little... Well, I taste the chocolate, but that's about it.
It's fairly underwhelming.
That is sad.
Yep.
Come on, Sagatuck. That's not bad, but I don't taste any of the flavors of...
No, it's not bad, but there's nothing about it that suggests...
Was I supposed to shake it?
I don't think so.
Mix all the flavors up?
I don't believe so.
Well, that's, what are you going to do? But that's the Saugatuck Brewing Company out of Michigan and their Neapolitan milk stout, which is supposed to have hints of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry, but tastes like coffee to me.
They are hidden hints, in my opinion.
Very subtle. It's got a 6% alcohol, but it's drinkable. I think I'm getting there with the darker beers. I kind of like them. Kind of digging them. Yeah. Even if I don't taste the ice cream in them. But
I would say that this is pretty much ice cream free.
Ice cream free beer. You heard it here first on What's Your Favorite Movie? Let's talk about movies instead of drinking. That was an extremely underwhelming installment of What's Your Favorite Beverage, or whatever we call that segment. Let's enjoy a beverage, exclamation point. But So
what the heck? Let's move on to movies.
Let's move on to movies. And we were trying to figure out what movie we were going to talk about. And Diana said, Bob Howdy, Ed, I want to talk about... Have you ever used the phrase Bob Howdy in your life?
No.
I want to talk about a little film, but I don't know. And I was like, let's just do it. Let's just dive right in and talk about this little film. And it is a movie called... Now, this is a good movie because you never heard of this movie, but you might want to go find it and watch it, which is what this. I think that's our main goal here is to...
Partially, I think, yeah.
Our main goal is to tell you about movies that you might not have heard of and you should go see, and also for me to connect them to something like Flipper or...
Right.
Which I'm going to say, this film does not appear to have any connections to crap.
No
Nobody in it.
Fish Jello connection that you can find.
Nobody in this was in any remake of a cartoon.
Yep.
Or anyway, all right. So it's called Sparrow's Dance. It's from 2012. It's a very small film.
Yes.
Diana, tell us how you discovered Sparrow's Dance first.
I honestly, I'm not. I don't remember. It was
mystery.
It is. It was available on one of the streaming services. Probably Amazon is probably where I found it, but I couldn't say for sure. And it sounded interesting. So the two people who are in it are Marin Ireland and Paul Sparks.
Yeah, you have more of a tendency to just see something and go, that sounds good. I'll just watch it knowing almost nothing about it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Whereas my track record of doing that is much failure, so I'm very hesitant to do that now because I've stumbled into some real crappers.
I had seen Marin Ireland in some other things, and I like her. She's a very good actress.
Is she in Flipper?
I don't think so. I think more recently she's done some TV like Homeland, and I don't know.
She's on a show called like Stinky Pete or Sneaky Pete or something like that on Amazon.
Sneaky Pete, yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I'd seen her in some other stuff. I like her. I think she's really good. And I saw that she was in this, and I was like, we'll give it a watch. And it's a very small film. It's basically there are two people in this movie. There's one location, and it's just like 80 minutes of them interacting in this one location.
First of all, let's talk about the glories of 80-minute runtimes. First, I'm all about short runtimes nowadays. I'll watch any movie under 90 minutes.
Right.
If there's an 8 or a 7 in there, 87, 77, good times. And yet, 75-minute Nightmare Before Christmas remains incredibly boring to me. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, part of what makes this movie work is that it is short.
Yes.
So she plays an agoraphobic woman who cannot leave her apartment. He plays a chatty plumber who comes to fix her toilet, and the two of them, fall in love or whatever.
They meet cute.
Yes. There's a meet cute over her broken crapper. So, but part of what makes the movie work is that it's short because you couldn't take too much of that, obviously.
Sure. Right.
It was made on almost no budget, but it doesn't have the look or feel of a shoestring budget movie, which is great because some of those are really hard to watch when they're all grainy and the sound is terrible and
it used
whatever.
to be in the 80s if a film was independent, it still had to reach a certain level of production. Je ne sais quoi. It still had to reach a certain level of production value to be released to the masses. I mean, even if you look at, I'm going to have to use crap as my examples, but even if you look at something like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which was made for like 19 cents, it's still shot on film and, it's competent filmmaking. But nowadays you can go on Amazon or Netflix and download, like Frat House 7 and it looks like, it was shot on someone's iPhone 4. So, yeah, this is a very competently crafted film. It actually looks really good. The colors are really crisp and and it has some neat lighting in it.
Right. And for a small movie with no budget, the filmmaker Noah Bushell, he does do some, very there are a few, very cinematic-y type things that he does, in it, which at first might be a little bit confusing because, they don't necessarily fit.
Unconventional.
Right, they are unconventional, but in my opinion, I think they add to the charm of the movie. I think it's just a really sweet, charming movie. And it's also something that, I kind of relate to, this, not wanting to leave your leave your home and interact with the world because the world is horrifying. So
I mean, in the beginning of the movie, when it's establishing, and it doesn't come right out and say she's agoraphobic, and for those of you who don't know big words, that means you're afraid of agorics. It means you're it doesn't mean, as it's portrayed, I looked it up, I did my research.
Did you?
It does not just mean you don't want to leave your house ever. It could just mean you have anxiety attacks, panic attacks about social situations, about certain situations, being in a situation where you feel you cannot be rescued from or trapped in. So often it manifests itself as not being able to leave your home or apartment. Often in the movies, it is portrayed as that is the symptom of agoraphobia. But
right. And, you and I kind of talked about this ahead of time. It seems like, agoraphobia tends to be one of those things that's like romanticized in movies and TV where, there's this person that, seems to be quite content to, live completely alone. They just, choose not to interact with the world and whatever. This is very different. I mean, she, you start to realize, she's really suffering from this anxiety disorder, and it really makes you feel for her because she's a very sympathetic character. Yes. Once you realize, just how crippled she is by this anxiety.
So I started to say in the beginning when they're establishing that she's agoraphobic, and since it's not a Hollywood film, they don't come right out and say it. They establish it. There's just a lot of time spent watching, not a whole lot of time, but she's staying in her apartment, she's eating takeout and watching movies on TV.
Yep.
And
that's her whole world.
And I want to be in that world.
Right.
I want to sit in my apartment, eat takeout exclusively, and just watch movies in peace and mother-loving quiet. And it's like just glorious. It was like a lonely porn or something. It was just amazing. I want to do that.
You need to work on this whole new genre of solitude porn.
Solitude. Well, yeah.
There you go.
It's just my dream is to have a room in this house. Sorry, in this studio. In this house that is the width of my television and just long enough for me to sit without going blind in front of the TV. No windows, one door with a lock. And just leave me alone and let me watch Golden Girls and Gus and Flipper and peace and quiet. So anyway. So one of the things though that took me out of the movie a little bit when it was rolling, because I noticed off the bat that it was very professional looking and it didn't have the feel of a low budget film. And then the plumber knocks on the door, the plumber that she has to have come fix her toilet, and I was like, he starts talking. I'm like, he's not a good actor. That's like amateur actor hour there. But it turns out he's actually a character. His character is not comfortable with the world around him either. So he actually is a very good actor. It was it's kind of cool to, like, as the movie goes on, it's like, oh, he's not a bad actor. He's a really good actor. This is part of his character.
Right.
That was kind of cool.
When they first meet, it's weird, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it's a little bit hard to sit through some of the the dialogue, but it progresses and it's well done. And then
also, we didn't talk about this, you and I didn't talk about this earlier, completely blew my mind, and it just doesn't give anything away. The opening credits are 32 minutes into the movie. That made me so happy. Like, I don't know why. I was just like, what? I noticed that there was no credits at all in the beginning. Okay, that's fine. That happens all the time in movies, mainstream and not. And then 32 minutes in, and it actually kind of kicks up a little notch into like a more playful tone, and then the credits, and I was like, what? Wait, and I looked at the timer on the DVR, and it was like 32 minutes. What? Oh my god, that's like almost halfway through this little movie. Amazing. Credits 32 minutes in. Good times.
Yep.
And what else we want to say about Sparrow's Dance?
I think maybe, we've kind of talked about it. We should perhaps move on. But it's, I will plug it again. I think it's a really good movie. It's a strange movie. It's definitely unconventional, but it's worth
It's
trying
a good
to find.
like a date night movie if you have the patience for it. It's quiet, it's romantic, it's all those things.
Right.
I think you will enjoy it. You'll have to search for it a little bit, but it's on Google Play. It's probably on Amazon. I forgot.
It is available on Amazon through their add-on channel,
Right.
the Tribeca.
Oh, okay.
Tribeca, whatever it's called,
Gotcha.
Select or whatever.
So go to Google Play. Is your easiest bet. It was like $3 to rent.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You shared it with me though, so.
Yep.
Or you could just friend Diana and she'll send you the code so you can watch it for free. If you think, and also, whatever, agoraphobia sounds like a kind of made up movie thing that doesn't really happen all that much. 200,000 cases a year of agoraphobia are diagnosed in this country.
Interesting.
And I hope all of them listen to America's favorite movie podcast. So we got to talking, okay, well, so this movie all takes place in pretty much one location. That's an interesting thing. What other movies take place in one location? Because that's a thing that movies do.
It is a thing. This idea of a movie being set exclusively in one location, those are kind of few and far between. But there are lots of movies that, use various devices to, keep them in a limited location. So I've, put together.
I gave Diana some homework. I said, come up with the list. Let's make another list. Last time we talked about movies where dead people are hilarious.
Yep.
And now we have movies that don't change location.
Well, they may or may not, but they're, like I said, limited location, in some cases, a single location. So I've kind of lumped these into, several major categories.
I'm excited to hear the list. Let's do it.
Here's the first category of limited location movies.
So we have a genre within a genre.
Yes. Torture porn. I don't really want to talk about this much, just to say it exists. So Saw and movies like it. Yeah, they're gross. I don't. Saw had potential, but it's so flawed that,
Diana, I never saw it.
Yeah.
There's not enough. I think I've used this analogy before on this show. There's not enough duct tape in the world to keep me strapped to a chair to watch that.
Yeah,
if I had trouble with knives in a head in The Babysitter, I can't imagine the horrors I would see in.
I don't recommend that movie for you.
Thank you.
The things in it that are interesting at this point, probably you've seen somewhere before. So. Yeah.
Well, the beginning of Scary Movie 3 or 4 starts with a Saw parody. So that's about as far as I can go, where Shaquille O'Neal and Dr. Phil are chained in a bathroom and have to saw off their arms or something. I forget which one it is. It's 3 or 4.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen that.
And while we're on the subject of torture porn real fast, let me just say once again, is it really that bad to be the front of the human centipede? All right, continue.
Right. Okay, so moving on. Here's another large category that falls into this limited location thing. Dinner and a Murder.
Dinner and a Murder. A perfect pairing.
Yep. There's been lots of those.
Dinner and a Murder.
Where a group of people is assembled for
the reading of a will.
Various reasons. They're, sequestered somewhere, maybe in an old house, maybe, on
the Orient Express.
Right, whatever, on an island, what have you. This group of people is assembled and then people start dying and yeah.
And whatever.
Whatever. So, there's a lot of examples of that. Here's one.
One of your favorite movies, Clue, would be categorized. Clue does all take place in the house, right?
Correct. Clue is a parody of this, dinner and a murder genre. It is also a parody of a parody, Murder by Death from 1976.
Oh, that's a good movie, yeah.
Which,
Peter Falk is in there, kind of spoofing his Columbo role.
Yeah, each of the main characters is a parody of some famous, detective, what have you. Do you
remember any of them? It's been a while since I've seen that. That Neil Simon wrote that. I do know that.
I have not actually seen it.
It is funny.
Yeah.
There's some line of somebody's name is Dick, And then she says something like, "You killed my Dickie," or something like that, and everyone giggles. I don't remember.
Okay. I'll have to take your word for it.
I think there's all right, so in theaters now is Murder on the Orient Express, a remake. But I think in that movie, somebody plays Peugeot or whatever the detective's name is in those.
Poirot, yeah.
Poirot, right, okay.
Yes.
He's in that. So it's a spoof of murder mysteries.
Right.
And it's of lots of them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
and then hold on, and then not a single location movie, but I'll movie trivia bump it up a notch. There is so in the 70s and 80s, often TV would like desperately rip off a movie because they couldn't get the movies. Like there's like Police Academy came out and NBC had Combat Academy. So what's it called? What was that movie called? Death by Murder.
Murder by Death.
Murder by Death. And then there's a TV movie called Murder Can Hurt You. That's a parody of all the TV detectives out there, like Kojak and whoever else was Columbo and whatnot. So there you go.
There you go.
Captain Stubing's in it. Continue.
All right. So the best example of this limited location dinner and a murder is from 1948, Rope.
Rope, yes.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
He makes good movies. Have you seen Rope?
I sadly have not seen it.
Rope.
I want to see it.
So it takes place in not only a double gimmick, one location, and it takes place in real time.
Right.
And I believe the two guys decide to do an experiment or a prank, and they murder someone and stuff them in a trunk, and then put like a tablecloth over it and make it a table, and then have a whole dinner party and see if anyone can guess whatever. And it not only is it take place in real time, it was almost shot in real time, because back then you could only actually shoot, I think, 10 minutes of footage at a time before you literally had to change the film and the camera. So in the movie, it's very choreographed. Like they'll walk right up in front of the camera and then they'll change the film, but it all transpires.
Yeah, right. So like the whole movie is basically like 10 long takes.
Right, exactly.
Like that's it.
But they look like one seemingly long take, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
not one of his more compelling films, but it is a classic up there under his bigger classics. Like,
yeah, I mean, having not seen it, I can't speak to how it makes you feel when you watch it. But I mean, like everything that I've read about it, it's so suspenseful. Just waiting to find out.
I guess it's not your fault that you haven't seen it. I mean, it's not your fault no one ever showed you the Rope. Oh. There we go. That was a perfect time. I didn't even introduce the morning zoo bell that we got here in the studio now, and that was a perfect opportunity to use it. So yes, Rope. Yes. Alfred Hitchcock.
All right, we'll move on to the next category. So the next category would be stuck at work / school. So The Breakfast Club. The
Breakfast Club
takes place almost entirely in the school library. Glengarry Glen Ross takes place almost entirely in, this...
The Office.
Right, The Office.
It is a common... I mean, Glengarry Glen Ross is based on a play, obviously.
A lot of these movies are. I mean...
So some movies... Like, one movie that I'm very familiar with that was based on a play is To Jillian on Her 37th Birthday, which you can... When you watch it, you can see how it was a play, but also the movie... goes out of its way to mix it up and not have it all at one place, because not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
So it's also very easy for like Glengarry Glen Ross just leave it like a play and keep it all at one location.
Yep.
And always be closing. Who else is in that? Alec Baldwin, Jack Lemmon,
Al Pacino, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin.
Wow.
Yep.
All of them.
Lots of people. Yep.
All right. I'm gonna pass on doing a poor any of those impressions.
Yeah, just don't. So Clerks from 1994. They do move around a little bit, but for the most part, it's all either in or outside of the convenience store.
Right. Good call. Good call.
And then this would be sort of the most famous of these.
When else do they go out of the store though in that movie? They go to the funeral.
Right. They go to the funeral, although you don't see like what happens at the funeral.
Right.
But
they go on the roof, but that counts.
That's Yep.
And there's a few flashbacks, I think, they go to the video store next door, but it's all in
pretty much, like I said, very limited location.
Judges?
So.
We'll take it. Yes.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Now I just want to use the bell.
Right. So then I think the sort of the most famous of these, stuck at work, if you will, movies is 12 Angry Men.
Ah, yes. But they didn't work at the courthouse, Diana.
No, but it was their
It's
job for the day, whatever.
12 Angry Men. Folks, if you've never seen 12 Angry Men, you need to get to a place where 12 Angry Men is being shown and watched. It's on Turner Classic often, so it is a phenomenal film. And for somebody who, I saw that, I've seen it recently, but I saw that when I was younger. And for somebody who's used to, talking animals and animals doing other things they're not supposed to do.
Right.
That movie blew me away. That is how you get 12 people. So it's essentially 12 people in a room.
Yep.
For almost the entire run time of the movie. And without any action, outside of the room, without any real action, it builds a insane amount of tension and drama and characters, and wow, it's good.
Yep.
And a lot of people think that's based on a play, but it's not based on a play. It was based on a television play.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it was written for television, but it was written as a staged play, and it was performed live on television.
Right. It's rare to have a movie that classic and that good that's based on television,
right?
Besides the Flintstones and Flipper. I mean, it's
right.
Of
course.
And that's got Henry Fonda in it.
Yes.
And Lee J. Cobb is in that as one of the things. I don't know who he is.
Do we know him?
I don't know, but that name sounds familiar. And Martin Balsam, who's
Martin
in
Balsam.
Psycho.
E.G. Marshall.
E.G. Marshall, who is see, that's what I was telling you earlier. You don't realize who they are because it's 1957. He is Ellen's father in Christmas Vacation. Which I'm sure is the high point of his career.
Yes.
And John Fiedler is in it. Mother-loving Piglet.
Oh.
So you have this movie, this movie about racial tension and murder and whatever, and then every 5 minutes, Piglet speaks up.
Yes.
But what about the knife, Pooh?
So, great movie.
Not a lot of honey in the movie. And also, Jack Klugman's in it. And let me tell you something right now. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, I know I'm wasting our precious time talking about this, but Jack Klugman and Tony Randall used to do advertisements for Eagle brand snack mix.
Yes.
And the pretzels were shaped like the Anheuser-Busch logo. And I would murder a homeless person to get my hands on a bag of those pretzels. So good. Pretzels are so better shaped like the Anheuser-Busch logo.
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch or Bevtel or whatever that company is now, if you're listening, bring them back. Bring them back for me and save the life of a homeless person.
Indeed.
All right,
so moving on.
Go watch 12 Angry Men, people.
Our next category is actually a subcategory. This one is Stuck at Work in Space.
Oh, because no one goes to space recreationally.
That's right. So, Stuck at Work in Space, we got Alien. We got your beloved Spaceship.
Spaceship is so good. I'm planning a whole episode on Spaceship. Let's hope it comes to fruition, folks.
We have, from 2009, Moon. I like this movie a lot. You probably haven't seen it. Well, I like it a lot.
Who's in that?
Sam Rockwell. It's basically, just Sam Rockwell and Sam Rockwell. There's two of him talking to himself in space. It's good.
Moon?
On the moon. It's good.
So, Alien... See, here's the thing about that, though, is, that's a cheat in a way. I mean, not that Alien set out to make a movie that takes place in one location, but saying the whole movie takes place on a spaceship, the idea of spaceships is so mythical or fanciful because those spaceships are, humongous. And, take Star Trek, you couldn't build something that big in real life and live in it for whatever. And, yeah, it's humongous, but they do it.
They do it.
And in Spaceship, even though it's supposed to be a huge spaceship similar to the Alien spaceship, because apparently the whole movie is a parody of Alien, and I didn't know that for many years, but in Spaceship, because that's so low budget, and it looks low budget, there's really only 3 sets, and then they just hang up a number that says Corridor 7 or Corridor 8B and make it different corridors. But you'll be hearing more about Spaceship in the near future, folks. Oh my God, it's such a good... You like that movie, too.
I like that movie. It's ridiculous, but it's...
Leslie Nielsen and Cindy Williams. What else do you need to know, folks? What else do you need to know?
And an orange monster.
Yes.
So yeah, that's basically Stuck at Work in Space. Okay.
The worst.
Then next we have Literally Stuck. So 127 hours where James Franco is stuck in a rock and has to saw off his arm.
Oh, you gave it all away.
I don't think I'm spoiling anything there. I mean, that's based on a true story, and it's horrifying.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it. So I am super claustrophobic. So like when that movie came out, I was just like, no way have I seen that. Add to that list from 2010, Buried with Ryan Reynolds, where he's buried alive. No. That one, I mean, is literally just him in a box for 90 minutes with a cell phone that somehow works underground.
Right.
So I figured that one out. I don't know.
Yikes.
And then from 2013, All Is Lost with
the Olsen twins?
No, Robert Redford alone in a disabled boat in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, Robert Redford.
This is a movie I've seen. I like this movie. It's horrifying because he is, literally stuck in the middle of the ocean with, no hope of survival. It's horrifying, but it's well done.
Robert, what kind of a boat? Like a rowboat or like a cruise, like a yacht?
Not a yacht, but like a nice boat. But I mean, it's small.
I just saw 47 Meters Down, where Mandy Moore and some other girl get trapped in one of those shark cages. Where you go underwater and see the sharks come at you. And it drops. Guess how far down it drops? 47 meters down. And most of the movie takes place in the cage, but they don't get into it for like a half hour in, so that doesn't count. That doesn't make our list.
No.
But Mandy Moore always makes my list.
Does she? Really?
I don't know.
Anyway, all right, moving on. So next category, we have the hostage situation.
Oh, no.
So Wait Until Dark from 1967. Audrey Hepburn. You haven't seen this? Audrey Hepburn plays a blind woman who is terrorized in her home by burglars. It's a good movie, but, it's disturbing.
And all in her house.
In her house. Similar to Panic Room from 2002.
Oh, yes. Jodie Foster
and Kristen Stewart terrorized in their home by...
Kristen Stewart, pre-glowing
vampires.
Right, okay.
Right.
So is she a little kid in it?
She's young. She's like 12.
Oh, okay.
You didn't remember that?
I didn't know she was in that, no.
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yeah. From 2003, Phone Booth, where the audience is held hostage with Colin Farrell in a phone booth for 90 minutes.
Yes.
And then...
Isn't there an almost identical movie to that called Cellular with Kim Basinger?
Probably.
Whatever happened to Kim Basinger?
Haven't seen her in a while.
Does she like apple strudel?
Yeah, maybe. And then from 1975, we have Dog Day Afternoon.
Ah, yes. Directed by Sidney Lumet, who directed 12 Angry Men.
Correct.
And Stranger Among Us.
So, yeah, he clearly has,
Dog Day Afternoon I've always wanted to see, and I still have not gotten a chance to see it. Because I watch Flipper too much.
Right.
So he robs a bank.
Right.
And the whole thing takes place in the bank.
Correct. It's a bank heist gone wrong. So, yep.
He doesn't get out a lot. Not to give away the ending, but the last shot is not him on a beach with a sexy girl in a bikini giving him a drink, and he's like, "Ooh yeah, I got the money." Dog Day. I did the Al Pacino impression after all.
Dog Day.
It all comes around. What time is it? 4:00. Dog Day Afternoon.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that happens in the movie.
Should have.
It should have.
Get me some apple strudel. All right. 2 more. We got time for 2 more.
All right. And then my last category. And there are a couple of categories that I didn't really get to. So like the supernatural, like haunted house type movie. There's a bunch of those, but I didn't get to it. And then like the disaster movie, like all of the airport movies that all take place on, disabled airplanes, whatever, So that's a whole other category that I'm afraid I didn't get to. So then my last category is just the let's talk about it movie. Just movie movies that are basically just about people talking.
My Dinner with Andre.
Exactly.
Which is literally just an unscripted conversation, right? Between two people?
It's largely unscripted. It's, yeah. Wallace Shawn and Andre Gregory just sit and talk. And that's it.
Who's Andre Gregory? Where would we know him from?
I don't know if we know him from... He was a theater actor.
Okay. As Wallace Shawn was.
Correct. And so, a lot of this movie is them talking about the theater and, whatnot.
Theater.
Yeah. I know some people really enjoy this movie. To me, it just feels like, an exercise in filmmaking or whatever. It's just, let's see what happens if we put two people at a table together and let them just talk. And that's it. That's the whole movie. Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. Not to say that it's without value, but it's, yeah.
Wallace Shawn in one of your favorite movies. Right?
He pops up in a couple of... he's in The Princess Bride.
And what two movies am I going to mention that he's in?
Well, Clueless is one. I don't know.
Toy Story.
Oh, okay.
He's not in it, but he's in it.
He's in it.
And the final movie on our list.
Oh.
Yes?
That's it.
That's it? That was the final movie.
That was the final movie.
Good times. So there's a bevy of films for you to sort out, find, watch, enjoy, and remember to thank Ed and Diana for sharing those films with you on What's Your Favorite Movie, the podcast about movies. So what are we here in November? I don't like the date episodes, but who cares? So we got November. We're coming into November, and there's going to be like a bonus episode floating around there somewhere soon. It's going to be numbered like all the others, so it's not really a bonus episode, but it's Diane and I playing a rousing round of a trivia board game that I think translates okay to... There's actually not a board, so there's nothing to look at. Why am I talking about this?
I don't know.
Look out for that, and hopefully we'll have a Christmas-themed episode sometime in December. And as always, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. What's Your Favorite Movie is the easiest way to find all of that. And if you have a moment, whichever way you listen to us, iTunes or Spreaker or some other wacko pod-catching app, do us a favor and rate, review, and or subscribe. It helps people find this show. Diana, not only thank you for doing the show, as always, but thank you for your extensive amount of homework on all these fine films.
It's fun. I don't mind doing it because I enjoy it.
It's good times, and I hope you enjoyed listening to What's Your Favorite Movie. Until next time, folks, as always, it's khaki wishes and cookie dreams. Bye-bye.